Barcelona have gone in and failed in trying to re-sign Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
Messi is moving to the MLS, lads. What do we make of this?
I feel like that's just a mismanagement of a club in such a way that you not only had to let him go the first time, you haven't been organised enough to get him back the second time. And I feel like he's the kind of player that Barcelona just need to have end his career there. It kills his legacy. It kills Barcelona's standing for me that you mismanage your club in such a way that you lose a talent like that.
There was this thing that he came out with where he said, I don't want to see other players sold for my wages. I don't want to see players take a wage cut to see me back in.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why do you just not ask for less money then? And I think the reality is MLS went there and went, look, we'll give you, you'll play with Inter Miami, but the reality is the whole league's paying you. The whole league is paying him a check. David Beckham is definitely going to see his good old mate get another franchise. So whatever football team will be built, he'll have his own stadium.
Yeah. He's gonna have some ownership.
Also, that ownership thing is now worth way more than it was when Beckham did. When Beckham did it, it was worth 75 million. It's now worth something absurd, like 500 million to get a new team in MLS.
Why else do you reject 500 million a year from the Saudis? This deal must have been big enough to choke an elephant. So they are going to offer him some sort of franchise football team at the end of his deal, but also he's getting a percentage of the Apple TV payment subscription. So this guy, his value, and it's going to be really interesting to see how America takes to him because he doesn't speak great English.
No, he doesn't communicate very well at all.
Nice, the Latin community and stuff that he will just easily just find himself.
He is just football though, so everyone will pay attention to what it is that he's doing. I just think he weighed up Saudi Arabia, and I think ultimately it came down to culture. Because I don't think it's money. Whatever money he's making in the US, he 100% could have requested from Saudi Arabia. But I think it's a choice of culturally living in that country with his family that came down to the final decision. Yeah. Because even the quality of the league is bare about the same. Like by the time Saudi Arabia is spent their 200 billion that they just invested, it would look pretty much.
And Saudi Arabia, you see them in the World Cup. They're a good football team. And I agree. I really like that quote that he gave about his family, and he basically admitted that in Paris he hadn't seen enough of them. And it seemed like he has a man with his priorities straight. You know what I mean? At least in America, he'll be able to give them more of his time and all of that. But what do we think? What potential impact can he have on America? Like we've seen, great superstars in the basketball league, but this isn't their main sport. Can he help it break through?
No.
Yeah. No, he will, because he'll have more eyes on the MLS. Messi's got this, he's like a club on his own. He's got his own fan base, and that fan base will now watch every single game, and so therefore you're going to have more viewership. And I think the fact that Apple TV have bought MLS rights as well, they're trying to build that into something. The only thing they need is young superstars, and if they get a young superstar, because they'll have the money, they'll have the finances. Once they have the finances, and don't forget, obviously, this is going into the 2026 USA World Cup as well. So it all plays a part in the same thing. But yeah, I think
that league is never going to take off. There's too many. They are sport.
There's too many mature sports in there.
When you break it down, baseball's huge over there. Then after basketball, and then you got the
NFL's one.
So
NBA's 2, hockey's 3, baseball's 3.
I think you put baseball up there because that's and that's where all the that's where everyone makes their money, right? So it can't happen. Even Beckham's gone over there, and I say Beckham's the biggest icon.
No, but it's growing though.
Beckham was as icons go. It doesn't get bigger than David Beckham. I don't care how. I'm not taking the liberties. I'm not saying anything wrong.
Messi's bigger
than Messi, and you can say Messi, but Beckham is an icon. Maybe now time.
They had a couple of stars. They had Thierry Henry. They had Wayne Rooney went over there, but nothing ever because
not Messi.
Because for Americans, this is generalizing, but I think it's fair. They're looking for magical moments. Yeah. Messi is one of those few players who's still good enough. It wasn't that long ago he was turning up the World Cup. He can still do that. You can still create the magic so that when ESPN show the highlight on the Sports Center,
it's sometimes like a league is so mature in its actual market that it's not going to go and have an explosion. They've invested in it since the 80s, since the cosmos of Pele and whoever and George Best. It's not taken off. It just won't. I feel like what's more likely to happen is it will bring all eyes on them in leading up to the World Cup. It will make them hyper focal point, and it will get more investment and money into the development of the league. But they need players that are homegrown, that are coming through the league, that stand on the world stage on some level, and they just don't have it.
That's the weird thing. I thought this would have happened for them by now, because Americans just dominate most sports, don't they? But
They have exported talent though, haven't they?
I mean,
like they've got
Weston McKennie and is it Aronson?
Yeah,
and
they've got a lot of players.
Tyler Adams, Ledlin. Like
No, they have got a lot of players in the Premier League. Like they have exported all the talent. They don't stay in the MLS. That's the problem. If you're saying that you want the MLS to rise. Question though for the table: do you think in 10 years' time the Saudi League or the MLS will be higher?
Saudi League.
Saudi. I think the Saudi League's a problem. I think we could be looking at the next Super League.
Nah.
Real talk.
Nah.
You know why?
You know what it is? I think they'll buy
right.
every single player on a free transfer for the next 5 seasons and give them an absurd amount of money and never bother to deal with any of the clubs.
Yeah, because they're not just taking like players that are like 35. Mahrez, Kante.
Mate, the fact that they're interested in Mahrez and Kante is the eye-opener of them all, because it's one thing to go, you're Benzema, like you're a superstar, Ronaldo, yeah, I get that. But it's like when you're offering a central defensive midfielder who's past his best, that kind of money,
100 million.
that shows serious intent. Bearing in mind, when Ronaldo was one of the best paid players in the world at Manchester United, he was on 20 million a year. He's now on 200 million a year. Like you're 10xing every player's salary. So why did we see players go to Man City in the first place? They didn't love Man City. They wanted the money. For me, Saudi Arabia is at 10 times what that opportunity was, and we might see in the near future, Saudi going, why should we, like what they did with boxing, bro? You're a boxing man.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they're like, well, why not just bring them here?
Yeah.
Why buy Newcastle and own Newcastle and dominate the Premier League when we bring the league to us? And we'll just create football teams, and every good player that becomes available, we'll buy them. We don't have FFP. We don't have anything to worry about. All of a sudden, the Premier League, Barclays Premier League, go, about that FFP thing, we may have to sort that out because Saudi Arabia keep buying all the players.
No, they're going to do something about it. And this is the thing, because you talk about who's in charge and who's running things, right? I always look at the last thing that came up. You see the streaming thing, those guys that were streaming farming with the Premier League and they got 30 years. I said, listen, when the establishment wants to protect itself, even with boxing, there's people, the old heads are still over there. So whoever was running boxing here, they're existed in Saudi. They're a part of the fabric of allowing this to happen. So again, the Premier League has to allow this Super League to happen.
But how do they stop free transfers going into Saudi Arabia when they are free in their contract? There's nothing you can do. There's legally nothing you can do. You're going to change the Bosman ruling?
But then you're talking about, we thought China was going to be there. When China started
China fell behind for a different reason. The Sovereign Wealth Fund have released 200 billion into the league to acquire players. 200 billion.
And let's not act like they're only doing this in football. We've got golf, we've got boxing, we've got wrestling.
WWE.
They've got it all, mate. And
MMA.
they don't do things like what we're learning about the Saudis is they're not here to take part. They're here to take over.
Yeah.
In the words of Mr. McGregor, even if he does hate us. They're literally buying. They're not going for like average boxers. They're going, we'll have Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. That is their attitude towards everything.
They're not being timid. And this is the thing that I think Western countries struggle with, is that not everyone bows down to you. And inherently, when you're operating from a budget of trillions, adding 200 million to your league, even the Premier League, adding 200 million to the Premier League and being like, go on West Ham, go sign all the top players around the world. And they're just doing it in a way that's contract free.
Yeah.
They'll get so much TV rights from the fact that people just want to see Benzema against Ronaldo, against Messi, against Kante.
I want them in fever. Like, how are we going to play these players?
So then even all of that, their investment strategy long term will benefit and reap benefits in a way that we're not really paying attention to because they're just going to swap.
I've got a question for the table then. So right now, Premier League number 1. Who's 2, 3, and 4?
Spain, Germany, Italy.
Yeah, and then maybe France.
Italy's high now.
Is the top 5.
And then Holland.
So there's the top 5, right? We've got the European top 5. How long at this rate do you think Saudi Arabia could break that?
They could be number 2 in 2 years if they continue signing because there are no stars in La Liga. The top players in Italy aren't even like...
I think you're not getting this wrong, man.
How?
Mate, when you look at the state of Barcelona's finances and you look at what Saudi Arabia can do, that's when it opens your eyes. Because Barcelona, historically, we've grown up with them. They are a superpower. Yeah. They are now... You go there, they are so embarrassingly skint where they can't plaster the word Spotify anywhere else. And they've like remortgaged everything to their eyeballs.
They won a league.
No, but it ain't long term, I don't see that paying off. They're so vulnerable, even to a Man City, let alone to Saudi
But
money.
players still, like, as you said, Bernardo Silva is dreaming to play there.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to jump out of a team that's about to potentially can win the treble, and he just wants to play for Barcelona. And that's the thing is, sometimes these heritage clubs, you can't even undersell that. The same way, even Arsenal, as much as I mess around with Arsenal, people want to go and play there.
No, I know, but
I accept
I feel like if Barcelona can't even get their finances together, there is no heritage to speak of. Like, they can't actually afford Bernardo Silva right now. So the idea of like signing those players is a myth. So in reality, what it comes down to is culture and where you want to live and where you want to play football.
Yep.
Bernardo Silva's fundamental reason for leaving Man City is that he wants to, on evenings and weekends, be able to go and be a part of the Catalonia lifestyle. He said it very, very clearly. It's nothing to do with the club, the fans,
Are you
or winning.
mad?
That's literally what he said. His dad said the exact same press release in the quote.
So he's saying that it's nothing to do with the heritage of Barcelona and what that shirt's about.
No, I'm saying he's talking about lifestyle. He wants to know that outside of football, the lifestyle matches something that he understands and knows. So for me, it's like it comes down to what the biggest barrier to Saudi Arabia would be is the conservatism in the country, where people are like, I don't feel I can go there, my kids, or I'm gay, or my friends are gay, and I don't think it's safe. That's what will come down to. But the money is so big. Kante's on 100 million. He would never have got that anywhere else.
So happy.
Me too.
But just
It
for
was never going to
context,
come any other way.
he's gone from 15 million a year to 100 million a year.
So
Tax free.
Boom.
Yeah. How do
Enjoy
you compete with that? It's impossible.
So happy for him.
So in reality, I feel like
I really
the
hope
league-
they need a football
the
pundit
league-
over
yeah,
there.
yeah,
I'm
no.
not sure I'll be the guy they're
Brian?
wanting to welcome,
Brian?
but I'd love to go.
I took a screen grab of the YouTube channel, and I was like, I think we're a
We
team.
can sell it.
We're a team.
We can sell it, bro.
We were going to
could
go
do
over there
this.
and be the face of it.
There you go.